I would like to start this video by stating that there's something funky going on with my ceiling directly overhead where I record, and it looks worse and worse every time that I see it. That can't be good. I only hope that when it inevitably comes crashing down, when it eventually comes down, all I hope is that it does so while I am recording a video so I can have some content. Hello, hi, welcome back, my beautiful, horrible blob monsters, my little blobbies. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, hello, welcome. This review is going to be a little bit more laid back, and that's just because, listen, I only saw Terrifier 3 once, and usually for a review, I like to watch a film like more than once and kind of have something a little bit more in depth to say. But since it's still in theaters, I've only seen it once, and so this is not gonna be like a full fleshed out review like I would typically do. This is kind of more of like an initial thoughts, initial review. So much so that I do not have a script prepared this time. Instead, I have like a page of notes of things that I want to touch on. And this is my notebook that I have kept every single like initial thought or anything of every single movie that I reviewed. Is all in here. So I have some notes that I want to touch on. I went to see it in theaters with my father, and he had not seen the first or the second one, and leading up to Terrifier 3's like premiere, he was telling me that he wasn't gonna go see it with me just because of like, you know, all the talk, right? Like, oh my god, it's so terrible. And we are gonna get to that because, anyway, if I seem a little bit groggy and tired, that's because I am. I've been very busy this week. I will discuss that a little bit more at the end of the video. But I talked my dad into going to see it with me. He ended up liking it a fair amount, and I'm gonna share some of the comments that he shared with me of like what he thought about it, and there are definitely also points that I agree with too. So let's just jump right into this review. Also, because it's still in theaters, you're going to have to see my face the entire time. I'm sorry. I like to break things up by having like scenes from the movie appear every now and then. Unfortunately, this time you have to look at my mug the whole time, so whoops, sorry. So let's go over what is it that Terrifier 3 is about. If you're new here, hi, my name is STARGUTZZZ. This is the part where I would typically tell you that I'll only spoil what is necessary for the discussion. However, one of the things that I will be discussing is a massive spoiler. So if you do not want to be spoiled, sorry, my eyes, like, if you do not want to be massively spoiled about something in the ending of this film, don't watch the video until you've seen Terrifier 3 yourself. Typically, I would refrain from having too many spoilers, especially like a huge one. But I need to fucking talk about this point, okay? So I'm telling you right now, if you do not want a massive spoiler, don't watch this video. And I can't just not talk about it because I have to talk about it because it's the only thing that's on my mind about this movie. Anyway. What is Terrifier 3 about? Bear in mind, I'm unscripted. I am pulling the movie back out of my head. Initially, there's a little bit of a part of it that picks up directly where Terrifier 2 ends, which is when Vicky is in her like room and our Ted is there. I think that's like the ending credit scene of Terrifier 2. That makes a brief appearance. The entire film itself, the plot and everything, takes place 5 years after Terrifier 2. Sienna is in some sort of like mental health facility dealing with, you know, the shit that happened to her in 2. And Jonathan seems to be doing pretty alright, and he's in college right now. And so the basis of this film is that Jonathan is like finishing up finals, he has friends in college, and he's kind of like, he's really taking his time at like trying to get home for the holidays, is what I'm trying to say. So Sienna is released from her mental health facility for like the holidays, for Christmas. It's not either, I don't remember because again, I only watched it once. It's either that she's being released or she's just released for the holidays. From the way they make it sound, she's going to be going back to the facility. So she ends up staying with her aunt and uncle and her cousin Gabby, who's like obsessed with her. I can't remember the uncle's name, but I think the aunt is Jessica, and that is her mom's sister. So it's established Sienna kind of has hallucinations. One of her dead friends is haunting her, which, by the way, that should have been used more than once. I'm so sad we only saw Brooke once. And so from there, she starts to see Art the Clown again, and it's this question of, is this real or is this my hallucinations? And the only person she has to really talk to about is Jonathan. Anyway, hilarity ensues, and Sienna is in a battle with Art the Clown again. With this whole like prophecy kind of story arc happening. Oh my god. By the way, the breeze just came in from the window, and it is like the perfect fall day today. That was a beautiful breeze, you guys. That's basically the movie in short. I'm going to answer the question that I think most people are asking. And no, the gore was not that bad. It wasn't any worse than the like other 2 films, you know? I mean, don't get me wrong, the kills were nice, but obviously, and I kind of guessed it anyway, that the whole like hype behind, oh my god, it's so like horrifying and gory and torturous and blah blah blah, especially the opening scene. Oh god, don't talk to me about the opening scene because but anyway, to answer your question, I'm gonna hope that my audience right now is like, they're as into horror movies and especially like splatter gore and like torture porn as I am. So to answer your questions, no. Terrifier 3 it's not, I mean, it's just about the same as the other 2 movies. And when, after me and Dad saw the movie, my dad basically said that he thought Saw still was worse when it came to how torturous some of the deaths were. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. I think that's fair. And it might be because Art is very like slasher oriented, so it's not really focused on the torture. It's focused on like slashing. But I just wanted that to be the very first note that I make about this movie. No, Terrifier 3 is not any worse than the first one or the second one or Saw or whatever. Like, if you are used to this kind of movie, it's not going to affect you at all. And there's definitely nothing that is going to make you walk out, and there's definitely nothing shocking or like sickening about the infamous opening scene that we have been hearing about leading up to the premiere of this movie. Let's talk about that opening scene. Am I a bad person because I was expecting that it was so bad because we were going to watch the child get brutally murdered? I knew the opening scene. I was like, it has to be bad just because, like, they're brutally murdering a child. That's gotta be what it is. But then, like, we don't even watch it happen. It, like, happens off camera, and then the gory mess is, like, so... your brain doesn't even, like, process really what you're looking at because it's so, like, messy. And I get that it's supposed to be a kid, but I didn't feel anything because I'm like, you know, like, it's a horror movie. You automatically know, like, oh, okay, some limbs and a tiny little head. I don't know. I apologize if it makes me a bad person that I was expecting to see the kid get chopped up on screen. But that's what I was expecting. That's like what I was waiting to see because it's so bad. I mean, it's not a new concept for children to be like killed in a horror movie. So I was like, if it's that bad that like Hollywood's not picking it up, then he must be showing it on screen. But no. No. I talked to one of my friends about this, and she watched like a shit ton. I'm sure she's watched like every interview there is out there on this movie by now. But she said that Damien decided not to show that because he didn't want to like put the kid through that kind of scene. And I get it. But also, like I just said, children in horror isn't a new thing. And to me, it's like you're showing them how like special effects works. But I get it. I'm not gonna like nag it. I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna be like, shame on you, because he didn't want like a kid to go through a brutal murder scene. I get it. But at the same time, like, it would have just been showing a child's special effects, like how special effects works. And maybe one of the worst outcomes is that the kid will no longer ever be afraid of a horror movie because they know what's happening behind the scenes now. That's my perspective. I don't have a kid. It could be very insensitive. I get it. I accept that. But yeah, again, there was nothing like we're leaving the movie theater worthy about this movie. Like, literally nothing worse than the other two. So I did like the story and how much more like balanced the story and killings were in 3 compared to 2. Because listen, I decided to rewatch the first 2 before I went to see 3, and Terrifier 2, it puts me to sleep. I'm gonna say it. Terrifier 2 was really fucking putting me to sleep when I was rewatching it. So I most certainly like this third one better than the second one. I thought the killings and story progression were a little better balanced. Like, we got to see Art be a psychopath to strangers on the street or Santas in bars, but we got the necessary like story progression for Sienna's character. I'm interested where like Damien is going with Sienna's storyline and how is it all gonna like officially end. Surely he has something planned. But yeah, I definitely was not falling asleep as bad in the third one as I did the second one. Now, when I initially watched the second one, I was obsessed with it, but after a few rewatches, it does put me to sleep. It's very slow. It drags so hard. I kind of loosely touched on it, but the kills were good. I enjoyed the kills. I can't think of any that I particularly like hated. My favorite one was the rats going down Jessica's throat. That one made me very uncomfortable. It made my stomach turn because I was just thinking about those little feet scurrying down your throat and then into your... They should have fucking done more with it. They should have let the rats enter down inside her body and like maybe chew their way out. You know what I mean? I think they could have done more, and it would have freaked me out even more, because where my head was going with it was way more uncomfortable. Well, it was way more uncomfortable than what I saw, because I was imagining rats eating her insides like all the way in her guts, but they just stopped at the throat and then they slit her throat. And yeah, that's still pretty uncomfortable, but not as uncomfortable as what I was imagining was going to happen. Obviously, the entire scene with the Santa in the bar is like, that's so iconic. I can't wait to rewatch this movie and get to rewatch the like bar scene, because that was just, that might be like one of my favorite scenes. So I also really loved that Vicky became more a part of the story. Because dude, she has such like a cool character design, and I'm happy that she was included more. Every scene that involved Vicky, I just loved a lot. Like, no complaints over seeing Vicky. I'm upset that we will never see her again. I liked Vicky. She had like a good personality. I liked that she basically became Art's proxy. I'm using the term proxy because I was a creepypasta kid. That's like what I equate it to, is like a Slender Man proxy. But she's like a possessed demon, and I got a little bit confused. Again, I'm gonna have to watch it more than once. But I figured that Art came back because he was possessed, because he was a serial killer recently dead, for the demon to take on, but it seems like the demon is possessing other people, not Art. Like the pale girl and Vicky. I don't know. Maybe I'm confused there. Maybe it can possess more than one person. But then again, like Art's eyes have never glowed like that. I mean, I know they did in All Hallows Eve. I don't know what else to really say about Vicky, because I'm working off memory. I'm just happy that she was more a part of the narrative, and every single scene that included her, I really liked a whole lot. This is going to be my most important point. This is going to be my most important point that I told you in the beginning was the massive spoiler. So if you have not heeded my warning and gone ahead and watched this far, this is the massive spoiler. There is no way in hell that Jonathan is dead. There is no way in hell. No way. Because here's the thing. How are you going to have one of the two main characters die off screen? He's not dead. I talked to another one of my friends, different friend, about this, and she said that she saw an interview where Damien was talking about how, like, because of Jonathan's character, it would have been too much to put him through that. Or something along those lines. I haven't watched any interview. I'm going off of my friends who do watch interviews. And so he was saying that he didn't show Jonathan's death because of his character, and he didn't want to put the character through that. These are the Terrifier movies. This is Terrifier? What do you mean you don't want to put his character through that? This has to be like some kind of cover-up to try and convince people that he's not going to be in the fourth one. He is. There's no way in hell that Jonathan is dead. You are telling me that one of the two main characters you killed off screen because that's a line that would have been crossed in the Terrifier movies? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Like, it doesn't make sense in my head at all. Like, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, what are you talking about? It would have been too... That's a line that we're going to cross, is that we don't get to watch Jonathan die? See, I really hope this is Damien trying to, like, convince the fans that, you know, oh no, he's dead. He's dead for real. He's not going to be in 4. But then he is actually in 4, and I'm going to bet as a proxy, as another Art proxy. I mean, it's set up so perfect for Jonathan to be, like, the next helper or proxy or demon-possessed individual character in the story. But motherfucker, if it turns out that this is true, if it turns out that this is true, I'm gonna be pissed off. I'm gonna have a lot of words to say. It better not be true. I'm gonna have several words to say, and it could change the course of how I see the franchise. If it was a genuine decision that Jonathan gets killed off screen because it would have been too much to put his character through that. Bitch, he's a main character. If he dies, you bet your fucking ass you better put it on screen. What are you talking about? Please, that it has to be a diversion. It has to be some kind of diversion. It's a fucking stupid one. There's no way. I'm convinced Jonathan is alive. Jonathan is 1,000% alive. Art's taken him once, just like a little kidnapping. He can fucking do it again. And it's built up to be like the perfect fucking direction for the story to go, because he was so obsessed with Art in the second one. There's absolutely no way Jonathan isn't gonna be in 4. And if he's not in 4, I'm gonna be pissed. He better fucking be in the fourth one. Okay, I just have one more point to touch on for this brief little video. And that is, damn, these, and my father pointed it out halfway through the movie, in the movie theater. He leaned over and he was like, these aren't scary, and they're not super uncomfortable, and they are much more comedy than anything else. And I think that is the damn truth, that the Terrifier series is way more of a comedy than anything else. And like, this third one has way more comedy in it than the other two. Now, I don't have a problem with this. Obviously, I like it. I like how much personality Art has, and I do really like the comedy in it. Because I think it's very unique for the slasher genre to have this. We can see it in like some of the later Elm Street movies, and obviously a very blatant use of comedy horror in the Chucky series. But it's true, dude. The Terrifier movies very quickly went more of like a comedy route than they did maintaining like how scary Art was. I'll probably touch on this in another video down the line. But dude, the first movie, Art is like actually scary. He's actually this very menacing, unpredictable force that low-key is fucking scary, and he even looks scarier. He acts scarier. Some of the parts in it can make you laugh a little bit, but it's like you're laughing out of unease or uncomfort. And it's like, as soon as they did the first movie, that was completely dropped. Anything menacing about Art's character was like almost immediately dropped after the first movie. And it kind of makes me sad that we don't get more movies in the franchise that have the same vibe as the first one, because oh man, when I rewatched it recently, like, it is way better than what I fucking remember. That first movie is beautiful. It's beautiful in my opinion. And the second one on so far, you know, 2 and 3, have been way more comedy and story focused. And so we've kind of lost the unpredictable, menacing, and like gritty nature from the first one almost immediately after the first one. I still like 2 and 3. 3 was really good. And there were a few moments in 3 that did remind me of the grittiness of the first one, which I did appreciate and I did like. Like, there were a few scenes with lighting and everything that looked identical to the first one. I loved that. But man, I'm kind of bummed that we stepped away from the vibe of the first movie so quick. So quick. Like, because now these movies are basically a comedy. And that's not to say that I don't like them. I do really like the Terrifier movies. I just wish that we had the scary, menacing, gritty, unpredictable vibe that we got from the first one for a little bit longer, and that it didn't go like immediately into comedy. Okay, so those are just my initial thoughts after seeing Terrifier 3 in theaters. Again, this was like a very informal review than what I would typically do. And also because this is not like a typical, more like fleshed out review. It's more of like initial thoughts. I'm not gonna score Terrifier 3 just yet. I will be scoring it later on once it comes to streaming. I have like a video planned out for it that's probably gonna be a lot more long form. I mean, it's not a surprise. You could probably guess. I'm gonna watch all 3 of them back to back and talk about all 3 of them in one video. So that might be, that might take a second to do. And I can't do it until it comes to streaming yet, so I am going to wait and rate it then. I do have like an idea of what I would rate it right now, but I want to watch it again before I like make that decision, because I don't think one like very initial viewing of it is enough for me to really say. All right. So thank you so much for being here with me for this very brief, maybe somewhat chaotic review of Terrifier 3. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Your time I know is precious, and so the fact that you stayed until the very end means a lot to me. Thank you so much for being here. If you liked this video or this little initial review first thoughts, make sure to give this video a like. Feel free to dislike it also, but just know if you hit the dislike button, I'm going to just assume you dislike the video because you didn't like my review of Blood and Honey and you like Blood and Honey. If you liked this video so much that you want to watch me review more horror movies, be sure to hit the subscribe button and also that bell notification so that you can be updated whenever I make a new upload, which is usually, I shoot for once a week. If you've seen Terrifier 3, put a knife emoji in the comments and tell me something that you liked about it. What was your favorite kill scene? Like I said, my favorite was the rats because that made me the most uncomfortable. But I think another good one was the bathroom scene. Like, I was amped up for that one. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to my 10 subscribers. I have 10 subscribers now! Yay! Thank you so much for being here. Now, this video is probably coming out early in the week, and because it's so short, I do still plan to have one uploaded later next week because I didn't get this one out on time. So technically this week you guys are going to be getting 2 reviews. My goal is still to do at least one a week, but little announcement. I got a little part-time, maybe seasonal job at a movie theater, so I don't know exactly what my schedule will be like for that yet, but I will get to watch movies for free, and one that I'm really excited to watch soon is Heretic. I am very interested in that one. And then obviously in January I will 100% be doing a review on Screamboat. Thank you for being here, my sweet, horrible little blobbies. Be safe out there, have a good night, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Yeah. Hi, yes, that's me, guilty as charged.